You a vlogger, fishing over. I forgot the rest of the words. But Miss Fia Foko sat down with Palesa and we've got some things to chew on. I don't think I was going to talk about this, but it's not going away. So I was like, let me watch and see what's up. But hello, hi. It is me, it is I, Small Town Didi, you're a Khadi. On these, you have very internets and akastrach. I am back. Allow yella. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let your people know about me. Oami sat down with Palesa, who's an actress, but whom we also know as Somizi's baby mom or Bahumi's mom, Bahumi's Somizi's daughter. Um, yes, she's an actress and she's an accomplished woman in her own right, but he's got more of a star power. So we tend to diminish any of her accolades, and we're wrong to do that. And we just kind of be like, yeah, that's that lady that is a baby with him. Gorgeous woman. I mean, gorgeous woman. They're just some beauties, right? The Gail Mabalanes, the Katlego Dankes, the Connie Fergusons, they are just some beauties where you're like, God damn. Like they've that near long ever beauty thing going on where it's like, God damn. I think she says she's gonna be 50. I'm like, where? Where, Miss Ma'am? Oami did such a good job, especially the second and third part. It's in three parts. She gave her enough room to breathe. I felt like I literally watched them all today. I felt like Palesa was still trying to come at it nice, the first one, but it's 6 days ago. The upload says 6 days ago, and the other two says 2 days ago. I feel like she's still trying to be in her truth, but still sugar coated. And then she still got so much backlash, which I think was wonderful because she came back the second and third time with a bit more smoke, with a little bit more. I tried to put a little sugar on that shit, but y'all weren't having it. Like, you guys thought you could drag me. So I'm just gonna really, really tell my truth now about this person, to the extent that you already don't like me when I'm trying to make it pretty. Couple of themes they touched on: her religious journey. She starts off by letting us know that she is a follower of Christ. It's a huge part of her brand, which we will get into, or her journey, or how she self-identifies, however you want to say that. And then she has a makeup line that she started, the business stuff. A lot of stuff on the journey with her and this other public figure, which is the father of her child, Somizi. And I feel like it's her story. It is her story to tell. It's not about him. He happens to be in a lot of it because they have a child together. Ultimate, like, they've been doing life in and around each other for as long as this child has been alive, and it's 30 years. Like, Bahumi's 30 this year. What do you fucking want her to talk about? Right? And then she starts off the interview by, I'm gonna try to make this video not too long. She talks about where she's from and all of that stuff. She gives us her clan praises and stuff. She says that she's a Christian and all of that stuff. And then she mentions that, and it makes sense why she's aging the way she's aging. She doesn't drink or smoke. Sounds like she never took it up at all. And she says it's from the trauma of watching alcohol destroy her mom. And you guys know I come on here all the time and talk to you all about, like, alcoholism and our culture around alcohol, and how we don't recognize it as a real addiction. It's like a real disease that destroys. Lately in my life, I feel like it plays, I don't know if it's because I'm sober right now. I'm on 75 soft, and I haven't had a drink since the 8th or 7th of October. It's Feb now, the 18th or 17th of Feb. And I am at a point where I'm like, I'm now on the outside looking in, and I try not to be judgy about it because, like, honestly, I'm not saying I'll never have another drink in my life, whatever, but I'm also like, why? why must I have another drink? I really am at that point. I spend a lot of time on sober talk. It has her so traumatized. She lost her mom to like liver failure, I think they call it. Spend a lot of time on sober talk, and you see it a lot where your liver fails essentially because of this drug, which is what it is. And it's such a socially acceptable and, loved thing that we just don't look at it with that lens. We don't talk about it like that. We just say mama ngwana, na malumbano. That thing destroys, it alters a person. In my life lately, it's doing so much altering, it's shifting like dynamics that I feel cannot be repaired. Like it's that bad around me right now. And this thing is always involved. It's always involved. Some way, somehow, it's always involved, and it heightens the situation and it makes for an unpleasant living. She gets into that a little bit, and then she gets into it immediately and tells us about, I guess what people really want to know about, which is Somizi, and how I came to have a baby with this flamboyant gay man. Like how that happened. They were very young. I think she was 19, 20. He was 21, give or take. He was already a star. You need to remember, like Somizi started early. His parents were stars, right? He was on Sarafina when he was much younger. He was on stages, on Broadway, doing choreo. Somizi has always had a grift, right? There was always something within the space that he was going to do and was going to make him money, and he was going to be well known, and he's coming from a well known, entertainment family and stuff. And she's a pretty girl. And she says she falls pregnant, and he starts acting up, and everybody in his life is like, you're lying. This cannot be this person's baby. This guy is gay. He wouldn't do this, to a point where he was also denying the pregnancy. I listened to this and I said, God damn, the men are going to have to make him chairperson now at the conference. Like the men are going to have to be like, he's a man after all. Didi, why are you saying this? You haven't heard the other side. I don't give a shit about the other side. I believe the side. Clock me. Oh my God, that's not fair. Never ever said I'm that. Ever. Have never claimed to be anything like that. Don't put that shit on me, okay? I believe her. I believe her. I also remember Somizi telling the story years ago that when they're like, how did you come to have a baby? Like you present the way you do, right? And he was just like, no. At the time, the girl I was dating was like, she doesn't believe that I am whatever now, and I should prove it, and I should prove it by us doing this intimate act, and the baby came about from there. That was his narrative for a stretch. She's saying, and she also mentions later on that she was born again from the time she was 16. Jackie Hill Perry, when I find you. This is that shit where your lens is so warped from existing in this bubble of whatever, right? Maybe it's not Christianity, maybe it's African spirituality, whatever bastardized version that you're taking part in, and gay people don't exist. Whatever's happening, but you're like, you don't see it, or you can't see it, or it's not real, or your vagina is gonna make him straight, or she's just so young and not exposed, or he's putting up such a good performance. I really, really do wonder what was going on with Somizi at the time. As a young man trying to come into himself, and we see him now as this unapologetic gay man. Also, it's profitable for him to carry on like that. We can't forget that. We see him present like that now. So it's hard to fathom that there was a time where possibly he toyed with the idea of living out his life as a closeted somebody. Right? You see, like, he's in entertainment. You see how he moves his body when he's dancing from the time he's young, and how we associate, or, I stereotype certain things, and we sexualize or put all types of things on something as simple as him being a dancer or what have you. And I simply, I'm like, what these demons, hey, right? At the same time, he has a group of friends that are aware, or like they are aware of themselves, and among themselves they're living their lives out as gay men, or he's at least living his life out as a gay person with them. So when she comes and says she's pregnant and it's his, the friends are the first to say, girl, you lying, not our boy, not our queen, okay, could never, you get the fuck on. And it's confusing to her, and essentially she's saying that he's like all the other men. They will lay with you, Baurudele, you be pregnant, and then they'll act up. The story is as old as time, okay? The men do this thing where we're pregnant, and that's when you're at your most vulnerable, where you can't really do much, your room for maneuver is really, really not there. That's when the acting up starts. That is exactly when it starts. I saw a girl crying on TikTok the other day about how this person has really put her through it with this pregnancy. Can somebody explain to me what happens? I mean, I know what happens with some of these guys, right? They get you pregnant on purpose, ukoselisa. They get you pregnant on purpose to humble you. And when you're at that 5 month mark, when you're starting to show, or as soon as you get the point where you can't go and get that shit terminated, the real monster shows up. Men use their penises to paralyze us, to hinder us from greatness, to restrict our movement. It's abusive. Like, it is so abusive, and it's calculated. It's not by some accident that it's happening. And we need to stop thinking that we don't know. No, no, no. It's calculated. Because why wasn't he acting up the second you said you were pregnant? Why did he have to wait for you to get to this point? Palesa says to no, I mean, and at the time, somebody did advise me to terminate. And Oami goes, who advised you that? A wise somebody. We love you, Bahumi. We love having you here. And this is not about, this has already happened, right? The child is here. We love the child. This is not about that. This is about the fact that advising young girls to delete these, to go about the fetus deletus route is not this thing where you all act like somebody advising you that has like not your best interest at heart. Quite the opposite. A lot of the people that encourage you to keep pregnancies that they know you can't afford, those are the people that want you stuck. Those are the people that see how much you're gonna send if our number low. And I'm not saying you can't make the climb. It's just going to be a little bit harder with that child, right? And some people don't have as much support as other people. Often, a person who's advising you that or reminding you that this is one of your options, a lot of you like to look at it now when your little bundles of whatever bee you want to run with today, or whatever, burden, joy, I don't know, but your bundle is running about the place. You like, and so advised me to, and it's like, babe, wano kamashe de mamina, wano kamashe de mamina atakaji. Man's advice was on point. You're a mess. The baby's a mess. This is going to repeat the cycle of poverty. You do not have the resources to claw your way out of this situation. Stop saying this like you're having a point. Some belief, normalize abortions. On God, normalize that stuff, right? Especially for young black girls. That one mistake of not having the proper knowledge around sex and not knowing that you could get pregnant when you're 6 here at this time of the calendar, this could happen. But mind you, this is like however many years ago now. They weren't even able to chart their things as easily as we do with apps and things like that. And the girls still don't truly understand. Some of us grown bitches don't know what the fuck is going on with our cycles. Some of us are just learning the other day that emergency contraceptives, morning after pills, do not work when you're ovulating. Babe, we're fucked. That's the only time we want to fuck. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Cream. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Do you see what I'm saying though? little black girls cannot have their lives altered forever, as if this option is not like available because you have some like religious or moral thinking of how it's a sin. You already did the sin, babe. Just like be committed to it and finish it, right? The sin was the sex out of wedlock. It's already happened. Show some commitment about you and go to Mari Stopes and see that shit through. Okay. Now it's a complete sin. It's like when you go out to groove and you know you're not allowed to be there past a certain time, and they're like, you need to be home at 9 and you go at 10. Like, if they're gonna hit you anyway, you could have stayed till midnight and had more fun. Like, well, tell it something you need. Do you understand where I'm going? Okay, let's move on. We talk about a little bit in this. I didn't watch Somizi's show. I don't find Somizi entertaining in the least bit. I do not find him even amusing at the least. Like, he's not my cup of tea. He's not my anything, and it's not me to take away from his ability to reinvent. I can appreciate what I can appreciate about him: the staying power, the reinventing, all of that stuff, the managing to be entertaining to some people, whatever. I just, he's not particularly anything for me. And I don't know how else to say that. Bonang's an amazing host. The host cannot hang. That's her talent. That's the thing I celebrate her for. He's been able to reinvent and come and do all of that and stay and play whatever role we need him to play at this time. Bit of a chameleon, you know. I feel like we don't know him. I actually feel like that. Like, have we met this person, or are we constantly getting a reinvented, what is profitable version of this person? And for that reason, I've never watched his reality show because I didn't care to watch it. I knew I was not going to be entertained by it. He does not entertain me. Okay, great. Can be like a caricature sometimes. Very cringe for me. Okay. But they started the reality show, however long that they started the show, and Palesa was on the show with it was a gig, right? Which brings, to the front the fact that reality television is still television, right? It's produced, scenes are planned out, all of that stuff, somewhat bordering on being scripted, if not completely or loosely scripted, but you have an idea of what's gonna happen. Like, this is the fucking call sheet. What are you talking about? You know what's gonna happen. Oh, you also here, bitch, it said so on your sheet. It said all the hoes were gonna be here. What are you fake shocked about in the scene? So annoying. There's the reality show, and there's a scene apparently there where Palesa says she was at the hospital. She had this accident and she had like a gash or something. I don't know if it's on her forehead or where. I do not remember seeing the images, but they're saying they trained it. She had an accident when she was with her daughter. She had this very big scar, and they rushed her to a public hospital, and they basically just like butchered her and, this pretty woman. And so she needed to get plastic surgery. And she's now saying, I've also known all these years that, oh, Somizi paid for that surgery. She's not saying, no, Somizi didn't pay for that. He brought me flowers in scene on his reality show. And I think we had a facial or something, and everybody just ran with the, oh, he paid for her plastic surgery, but he didn't. The family whose event I was coming from when I had this accident are the people that offered to pay for this thing. This entire thing for me, and I feel like I've like taken too long to get into it really, but for those of you who can't sit through the 3 hours, I thought you should have a little bit more backstory. This entire three-part thing just speaks to the, I said this about Nozipo in the last thing that I posted about the polygamy thing, where I was like, the narrative building and the crafting and the cleaning up of male images, and the image that the world must have of this person, this thing that we do as women, has put us in a situation now that being secretive or being silent in the I'm protecting my children has put Palesa now in a situation where everybody's calling her a liar now that she's ready to come and tell her truth. Because she spent so much time being quiet or playing along, right? Because I can go like the dad's image in front of the kids. I don't want the kids to say I was bashing the dad. You need to be honest with your kids. Because it's a little bit heartbreaking sometimes when your kids learn the hard way, their dad's character. It rocks them when you don't try to give them a sanitized version, an ager like a sanitized version, something suitable for their age, where you're like, daddy's a little bit, if they ask, try to be honest with them. If the world is asking, if you feel like being too direct is not going to have a desired like impact on your children, it's going to harm them, have a sanitized version of the truth if you must, but the truth must happen. Something happened to me and I put it on my status, and everybody called me to tell me to remove the status. It is not my job. This is on my WhatsApp. It's not my job to make you look good when you show up as a monster in my life. It is not my job to pretty you up and to keep quiet. If you want to show up a certain way in the world or want me to describe you as showing up a certain way in the world, then you fucking show up as such. If you're going to show up like a fucking beast in my life, I'm going to write about it. I'm going to tell the world about it at every turn, because the first time it happened to me, I was silenced. The same people, the same people who silenced me and manipulated me the first time around were the exact same people this time who were saying, "You're doing ibifile." What is bifile is what that fucking person did to me. What that person continues to do to me, and everybody around, and everybody is like, "Oh, we're not going to talk about it." That emboldens the monster. You're doing yourself no sir. We hurt ourselves, especially now that he's built up this fandom, Somizi, where we know people don't want you fucking up their vibe. People want to go see Chris Brown. Don't come with them with that shit. People want to go to the other places that are owned by the guy who owns, is it Zanzu or Zanzu, the nightclub where they saying that they assaulted those boys. I don't want to watch the videos. Thank you very much. People are like listing other establishments that that person owns and how we should stop, basically boycott these things and cripple this person, because the only way to cut the fucking monster like this is to hurt their pockets, right? They're listing these things, and they people in the comments saying things like, "I get great service there, sir. I can't stop going over some, nonsense," or what. They use something close to that. Boys being assaulted, sexually assaulted, is deduced to, "But I get great service there." Do you see? You don't do yourself a service. What you do is you feed into that narrative of he's such a great guy, such that when you come out like a day like today, like Palesa, and you finally want to be like, actually, no, he's not a great guy. Nobody wants to hear all of that, girl. People want to go to Babel or whatever the place is. They don't want to hear about how you were like assaulted, girl. No, but I didn't say that. But it's like, you're fucking up the vibes, babe. Like, okay, sure, we're now Tara sharp, but we like his little shtick, girl. So go away, like come the fuck away from us with this. Like, we don't want to hear all of this. Like, girl, you see what I'm saying? Whereas, and it's not a guarantee, right? Everything has its toss up. Sometimes you say it from the word jump and you're muzzled somehow, or you say it and it's, oh my God, you're the reason I don't have a relationship with my father. And children have so much grace for their fathers. Notice I didn't say parents. Children have so much grace for their for their fathers. Look how Bahumi is still, if her mom's word is anything to go by. Also, now trained by watching her mom keep this man's image squeaky clean, she's followed suit. She plays along with whatever things he wants to telegraph, according to what Palesa is saying when she says, "Oh, she went to whatever party and she was back within the hour and she allegedly didn't have this." All of this is alleged, but like, I like her take. I believe her. And we learn it. I found myself also being like, let me be quiet, let me not ruin this person's, like, so that other people don't look at this person and think he's not a good person, but he's constantly showing up as a fucked up human being in my life, consistently doing that. But I'm supposed to tidy his image for him, worry about how the world is going to treat him if they learned about what he's doing to me. And surprise, surprise, the world is going to be just nice to him, because the world doesn't give a shit about a man making life uncomfortable for women. The world doesn't give a shit about that. It's allowed. It's allowed to happen. Other men are, there are men sitting somewhere right now saying, "Marake munna man. Like, he he's a nigga after all. Like, he can really hang now. Like, now his feathers and all his flamboyance and his lace fronts are not gonna bother them. Now he's like, he's a loser, just like, what a man. What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man." Like, there are men right now who are realizing what I am. Like, DKJ. Give a nah. Like, give a nine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what it is. Him being gay does not exempt him from, like, behaving how men are socialized, because he's a man, he's socialized in the same fashion. Like, the only thing that's happening is that he's drawn to other men. Like, that's it. That is it. That's it. A lot of gay men show up in the world hating women. A lot of you just think because a man is gay, his politic is going to be this way. His receiving of women is going to be this. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, no, no. He is doing what, that's what I'm saying. You're the men want to sit with him and have a beer. Like, they don't even mind if he has a little feathery drink, like with a little umbrella key. They'll get up and get it for him. Yo, they're gonna get him the umbrella. Because he's proper one of them now. Now they're learning that, no, man, this person is proper one of us now. But we hurt ourselves. Most men, he uses the presence of the women in his life to sanitize his image. Right? We see it with Jay-Z when he came out. A lot of people did the breakdown and the analysis there. Right after those accusations, he was seen on the red carpet with his daughter and his wife. A lot of them, every time they get in trouble, it's, "I've got a daughter," or, "I've got kids, my wife." You shut the fuck up, right? That man that inseminated half of his patients with his semen, there's a documentary out on him, Is It Our Father? When the children came to confront him, that man said to them, "I've got a wife and I'm a leader in the church. I've got children, I've got a wife, and I'm a lead." Like, they shouldn't demand answers from him because he has these fragile, delicate people in his life, and it's gonna hurt these people. And he's also in, like, you're gonna hurt my whole like, don't do all of that. Men do this. Men will not be involved in your life, and they will run around saying things like, "I've got a daughter." It's right next to them getting a pet. like on social media, right? They're the cat or a dog, or they are this doting father. And then we learn that not quite, right? You are that when it's time to telegraph something. He's no different. If like what's said here, what's being alleged here is true, which is what Palesa is basically alleging, that these are photo op moments, right? He bought Bahumi a car, but she says Bahumi had an accident with that car a couple of years after. She mentions that Bahumi's struggling, and everybody in the first thing where she talks about Bahumi struggling, and people are like, she's 30, she should be on her own feet. For a person like me who's still living at home and all of that stuff, I don't know if this is talk coming from younger people who don't know what's in store for them, people in her age bracket who got their shit figured out, or older people who simply do not understand it, how fucked the space is right now and how hard it is for us right now. We're not having that easy climb of like, as long as you stay in the books and as long as you go to school and you do this. Mind you, she's also an artist, right? Her mom mentions her going to after. Her mom mentions her being locked outside the school because fees weren't paid. And obviously it's more embarrassing. Your dad is this well-known guy who lives this life of opulence, and it's televised, you know. And all of that stuff. So finding work is going to be even harder. Like just trying to make way for yourself in that industry is a lot harder as well. And people saying things like she needs to have her shit together. I just pray you don't find yourself where her and I are. I really do. I don't want that for you. I do not. It's such a humbling experience. You cannot fathom what it is to not hit your markers like your peers are. I can explain it to you and you can get it because you don't have a comprehension problem. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's such a lonely experience. And I'm a person who talks about it all the time, but I still feel so alone in it and embarrassed. Just the shame that you wear around it. Like you're just such a fucking bum, you know? So that's your parent. If your parent is like, positioned in such a manner that they can help you. No matter the age, they should be able to help you. The women who stay in marriages for however many years and get divorced in their 40s and their parents say come home. Because that's what parenting is. I try. That's how I know Liscano Lidia to but I'll give out forever and ever. I literally belong to my parents for like forever. I bet you didn't think it was gonna be this long either, especially me. Me, they were probably like, oh my god, this one cannot be ours forever. I am. I am yeah. What you gonna do? Nothing. You're gonna parent, okay? You're gonna parent. Please don't be the type of parent who um thinks that like yeah chaya. Don't do that. That if you already have that mentality, don't have children. Okay? Because it does not work like that. Your child could be doing perfectly fine in life, and in the middle of them doing fine, something really traumatic could happen. Or they could, like, have a block of sorts or a mental breakdown, whatever, and you need to go and pick them up and parent. Them being 30 doesn't mean anything in terms of when that is your child and they need you. And I'm not saying let your kids be bums, but like feel the climate, yo. Shit is fucked out here. We're drowning. At least I'm fucking drowning. Everybody else around me seems to be fine, actually. Actually, that's not true, but they are. They kind of are. Palesa talks about how basically she had to take Somizi to maintenance court when Bahumi was like 7 or so. And it was really hard for her, obviously, really embarrassing for her because at the time, people were already recognizing her from a show here, a show there. She wasn't on Generations yet, she says. And it was really hard on her. And she says All of that happened, and she really didn't see him much for a while in the early years of Bahumi's life. She was raised at Somizi's house because her Rakhadi took her so that her mom can go hustle, right? Shout out to the Rakhadis, like Moors, okay? Like Moor, who understand that you cannot take the lead from your brother on how to treat your nieces and nephews. You can't do that. Or Rakhadis and Balois, okay? Rakhadi was raising this child and she gives this woman her flowers, Somizi's sister. She gives her her flowers. She's no longer with us, unfortunately. And I'm so glad that she did that. That's how Bahumi came to live with that. I feel like a lot of guys sometimes we hear of like, he's raising his daughter, the grandmama's doing it, the Rakhadi's doing it. This is happening. Like 9 times out of 10. Nine. Men do not like children. They do not like parenting. They can't stand it. It is hard. They don't like to do hard things. Like talk about their feelings and raise a human. That's not they're not here for all of that. Yeah. Anyway, she says the next time she saw him again, or one of the other times she was picking up Bahumi from school. Bahuma was 13 and he had dropped off 13 cakes at the school. Like, the store cakes, like store bought deli cakes, 13 of them and stuff. And she's like, there was no petrol in my car. And there was barely enough food in the house. She's married at the time. She had got married to some man that she calls her best friend and stuff, and basically Bahumi's dad. Um, you know, and she's like, it broke her to know that this person, I feel like a lot of people are trying to misconstrue her because we love to give men excuses even when the men are gay. When it's time to give a man an excuse, even the homophobic ones put their homophobia away and remember that it's time to, whoosh, come defend a man, get into the Tamara bag really quickly, Tamara bag and Sikha bag, and no matter what, defend this man and stuff. This man did not know whether or not his child had breakfast. Because Arumeli, like, yeah, that. Arumeli for the breakfast, Arumeli for the scaftin. He didn't know all of that. But when it's time to shine, when it's time to have this grand moment, that essentially this is not even about the child. This then becomes about you. Little conceited. Very on brand though, right? If you really think about it, very on brand, very on brand. Right? We can give him that. Shows up with 13 cakes, right? Doesn't even talk to the mom, doesn't say, oh, it's her birthday. What do they do at her school? No, no, no. That's ego. That's you trying to shine. That's you trying to have this big moment, and you know what you're doing because that's a child's brain, right? The child is not making the calculation of our Nabu be in the house. And people on social media are saying, oh, he's not responsible for making sure that there's food in your house. You're missing it, babe, on purpose because you just want to dance at the Chris Brown concert. Do you understand? You just want to have a good time with some music. You don't want to hear anything. We get into the religious stuff. We saw her, you guys who watch the show, apparently on the show she went to consult, so people learn from the show that she's a person who dabbles in traditional stuff. We're now learning she barely dipped her toe in there, and there was this huge thing where she burnt her duku. I don't know what to call it, but her cloth, essentially like a traditional cloth that she had purchased when she was trying to, she says she was lost at the time, and she's found now, blah blah blah. And she had bought this cloth and she decided to burn it because she was having really bad dreams and stuff and all of that. And she's like, because she was on television when she went to consult, a scripture came to her about how if you deny me, blah, blah, blah. And so she decided to burn that cloth publicly because she was seen consulting publicly. That's why she burned that cloth the way that she did. I'm telling you now, I remember when it trended, like it was trending everywhere. And I don't know what it is, but like much like her acting, I was not moved. Like I was not moved. I was not gagged. Nothing was happening. I don't know if like maybe it's because like her star is not very in for me. Maybe that's what I was just like, oh yes, another one who pretended to be something they're not because they're probably going through something, or maybe not pretended but was duped into whatever. You guys know I like from time to time I talk about how I truly believe that because so many, like there's an awakening, there's a deconstruction kind of wave happening, even though people are still largely conservative and stuff, the kids are trying to figure things out a little bit more. That also means room for people to take advantage. And maybe that's what happened with her from what she's describing. It sounds like she just dipped her toe a bit, and there was so much outrage around it. She's saying sangomas were trying to reach out and speak to her, you know, bodies, organizations around traditional healing were calling her and, you know, telling her that what she did was not right and all of that stuff. And you guys know how I feel about overly religious people, which she is. I find them a little insufferable at times. I do. I also find a lot of spaces with black women to be, they very quickly always descend into a prayer meeting. I can't stand them. I can't, like, whatever it like problem you have, can we solve this thing without you trying to make this a prayer meeting? Like that's something that could possibly be done, and I can't be around that stuff. You know, I'm like, it's not productive, so don't bring it around me. You know, and she has that energy, you know. I had to forward past all that. I listened, but like every time it was getting a little bit too preachy, too church, I was like, maybe I gotta go. I'm at the podcast. I'm not at the freaking church. You know, I gotta go. Every space with black women very quickly descends into this, I'm a praying woman and this performance of prayer warrior. And I'm telling you, it is the most exhausting thing. When you're in a small town like this one, it's even worse. Everybody just moves like we're all a monolith. Like they don't even care to feel out the temperature in the room if we're all down for what that, like what they're gonna do. I was extended an invitation just today actually. They're having a symposium of sorts at a church, and the first thing on the agenda is my identity in Christ. It's a church, right? And then after that, they've got some entrepreneurship stuff, social media, wara, but it's at a church. So this invitation comes to me via a third person, right? Like they forwarded to me because they were told to send it to me. And I reply, as if they are the ones who are going to reply because they will forward the message. And I type, oh, Didi's not Christian. We appreciate the invitation so much, but it does not align with our values. So we will not be able to honor the invitation. But thank you so much for considering us. And I send the thing. Do I not get a reply saying, oh, I can't say you're not Christian, bitch. Why not? I'm not. Like, you know I'm not. What do you mean you can't say it? I say it on the internet every second video. And like 10 people unsubscribe every time I say it. What are you talking about? Right? Because it's such a bullyish, dominant culture, right? And a self-righteous kind of existence. We know how they move, how emboldened they are, that when you are different in the same space, you need to watch how you're gonna move. She has a makeup line now, and I want to try her makeup. It looks really good. I especially want to try foundation. She says it's full coverage. right? It's got SPF 30 in it. It is waterproof. I can't tell if there's enough color range there. I didn't see much of the deeper tones, and it's locally manufactured and it's alcohol free. See how I'm selling her shit? How much do you want to bet people in those spaces disassociate from other people simply because they have different beliefs? Like a cultish kind of mind around it. Would she buy my thing, me as a heathen, if I say that? She even named it I think I wrote it down somewhere. Konania or something like that. I think she says it means fellowship. They believe that words mean things. I believe that too. And words carry meaning and they're not empty, they're not hollow. You do a lot with that. That's how you write a spell. That's how you send up a prayer. That's how you manifest. Do you understand? Whichever word you want to use there, same, right? All of that stuff, right? And her thing means fellowship. And it's clearly from her faith. Do I now say I don't want to use her makeup because I'm not a, and she says, oh, it's not just for Christian people or wara, wara, wara. But the name is explicitly that. Do I then I'm telling you, existing in these spaces has become the most taxing thing. If I call you and I'm going through it, don't try to give me scripture. I will hang up on you with my airtime. She says, she burnt the thing because of that. Lena Palesa wa Lora and Palesa wa Namabone. Like, Palesa is always having a dream, or Palesa is seeing a light. Shout out to you if you know where that's from. Palesa Sanjay Mori. Palesa o bona mabone and Palesa wa Lora everywhere. She clearly has a gift of sorts. She can choose which direction to channel that. She can choose which way she's going to direct spirit. She says that she only believes in like the Holy Spirit and an evil spirit. Hilarious to me. Funny as hell to me. That when life like takes place in the gray, that the people who are existing in the gray, because that's what we do as people. Every day you're negotiating with something. Your morals, your values, that's you existing in the gray. You're fighting with something, right? Profit over is this my values. I gotta feed my kids, but I really want to do, I want to be a good Christian. But every day you're wrestling in the gray. It is bizarre to me that to have that existence and then have that binary of like a thing kind of mentality around spirituality. I'm like, what in the cognitive dissonance is this shit? Truly, how do you all do it? Life is too gray for you to then turn around and decide everything else is black and white. Life itself would have been black and white. Are we okay? I don't get it, but she honestly, Palesa doesn't strike me as. Palesa is a pretty girl. Miss Palesa is a pretty girl, and I respect her so much for all of that, for being pretty and stuff. But that's really, I also admire her so much. She's another one who reinvents and comes up. And I think, yes, she says, because we don't see her on our TV screens, we want to be like, oh, that means she's not doing anything. But even her launching at 50, right? For a person like me, I'm always telling you guys how I'm not moving at the same pace as my peers. For a person like me to see a woman start something at 50, I'm like, oh, you don't expire when they say you expire. It is so inspirational to me. I really do want to try her makeup and I'm going to get my hands on it somehow. I am. I do. I'm really proud of her for moving and continuing to move, for the decisions she made. I mean, she tells her story of how, she went to find a job at a restaurant and then she worked at a Mr. Price. She was determined to feed her child. This is a woman that understood. And the other thing that I think we need to remember and take away from this thing is the thing that the girls keep trying to say to us, and that is that have the amount of kids that you can afford. You, you as a woman, even if you are married to the most loveliest, most tomato, tomato, anything can happen. Anything can happen. You better make sure you can afford those kids. My takeaway again is we protect these men to our detriment. I saw Somizi posted a video of him dancing. He's so, because it happened with Mahali, right? Mahali told his story, the violence, all of that stuff, and life continued, right? Nothing, there were no repercussions whatsoever for anything Mahali that alleged had transpired between the two of them throughout their union. Nothing. He has officially reached like cult status, untouchable. Say what the fuck you want, bitch. Say what you want. I'll still have all my jobs. I'll have all my fans. And I don't even think this was a smear on Palesa's part. This was just Palesa telling her story. And she still gave him grace where she could and said, perhaps we were just so young. Perhaps he was in his own fog and going through it. We've never sat down to really talk about it. I don't know where his head was. Still trying to clean up that image. Still working hard to clean up that image of a man who made her take a paternity test, make her child take a paternity test because he didn't want to maintain the child. When I tell you he's a full blown, like, he's one of them. He is, they're going to be so proud of him. They are like, oh my God, what a man. Like, they're going to be so proud of him. But that's really it, you guys. Owami did great, you guys. Oh, Owami did great. It sounds like, oh, what I'm gonna say about Palesa, I wanted to say she's not a very compelling actress. So I'm inclined to believe that she really believes, like, she seems believable in her convictions around her faith. So she would do better doing what Ayanda and Nwani wanted to do. Ayanda just looked hungry. Yeah, Ayanda just looked like her husband's been gone a while, there's no album, and she must quickly make a plan. And it wasn't landing. It's not acting. She's not great at it. It's not acting, right? Palesa really, really believes what she's saying, and it sounds like she's gonna be starting a podcast. I don't know what she's gonna be talking about, because all the podcasts we have now are people telling the stories of how they were not treated very well in their relationships, right? So I don't know what her angle is. Maybe she can go with one where a lot of people seem to be wanting to fellowship with her. So I suppose maybe she'll go that angle of, I wonder how that's gonna go. Yeah. I wonder what her vibe is. And Owami's production company is gonna be producing it. Shout out to her. And yeah, that's what the girls talked about. Mwah. Bye, Ella.